Alright, quick follow-up in part 2. Shot 200 rounds Blazer brass, 50 rounds Wolf, 30 rounds 124 grain gold dot, 15 rounds 124 grain golden saber, and 12 rounds of 147 grain HST. Functioned flawlessly, no problems whatsoever. Also, the accuracy was superb. The gun is an easy gun to shoot accurately. Comes down to, I'm convinced, the ergonomics are excellent. The trigger is ridiculous. It's just right out of the box. The trigger is superb. The gun is a bill drill machine. If you take it out and do something like a bill drill, which you probably know, you draw, you do 6 shots, not from concealment, as fast as you can. Try to keep it in the A zone. This gun is a machine for that because it's accurate. The trigger is light. There's just nothing in this gun that slows you down on a drill like that. Okay, bad news. I may have underplayed the mag ejection stiffness. Yesterday I shot 200 rounds, didn't seem like an issue. It's a little stiff, but no big deal. But today I did some 6.66 drills. I don't know if you recall what those are, but essentially you draw from concealment, you fire 6 shots, or excuse me, you fire 3 shots, you eject a magazine, you pull a magazine from concealment, you reload it, you drop the slide. Alright, here's where you'll discover that mag ejection is a little stiffer than you thought it was. It's kind of like going from a regular gun to an H&K paddle. It really just requires a slightly different technique, but you've got to get on that button pretty hard. When I first did it, my first 3 out of the box were terrible. And you could tell the splits were great, but the mag change was terrible, and that's what it was ejecting it out. Now I will say this, after the first 3, the gap started closing, and by the time I was done, I only did 6 before I got a little tired of them. The gap was closing, and I was certainly doing at least average. I think after a little more time, that'll catch up, but that's not nothing. I mean, you're looking at having to learn. There's a little bit of a learning curve there where you're going to have to get on that button hard. Alright, weirdness. Now, I've read about this, but it's just something you sort of have to experience before you understand what the issue is. When you seat a loaded magazine in this gun, a completely loaded magazine, it is so tight that you cannot physically eject the magazine out of the gun. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying it's difficult. And really, it's not difficult at all if you do one thing. If you get up there on it, you just tap this and it comes right out. You have to relieve the pressure on the ejection button. It's not a big deal, but it's quirky. It's definitely something that you have to learn. If you just picked up a gun, it would seem like an irritant. However, I have to say, I can't think of a lot of reasons to be ejecting a magazine with 15 rounds in it, and I certainly can't think of any high-stress reasons to do so. But suffice it to say, if you have some administrative reason to be taking the magazine out of your loaded gun, or at least a gun with the slide forward, there's no problem. You just put your hand on there and relieve the tension. Not a big deal, but it's definitely quirky. I have theories. My theory is that this magazine is too short. I think that what they did was they essentially they were so obsessed with matching the Glock 19's general size that they shortened the magazine, and they're basically forcing you to stuff that magazine completely full. I've already gone into that, but I wanted to bring you an example, which is, this is an H&K P1000 from my newly hated H&K. This is a very similar gun in terms of size. If you look at it, this is a 13-shot gun, 13 in the magazine. You'll see it's smaller than this, but it's not dramatically so. You can see that. I'll bring it up here. You're talking about a little bit of difference there, but it's 2 more shots. But at H&K, because they actually have engineers working for them, the magazine seats easily, it ejects easily. And I think that's because they engineer a lot of margin of error in here. But if you look at these magazines, this is a 13-shot magazine. You'll look, there's barely any difference in the two. And I even got the one with the short base plate. This is the H&K magazine with the flat base plate, so you wouldn't be. So like this is a magazine with the padded base plate. You can see that with these two, they're very similar in height. But even with the flat base plate, there's not that much difference. And this is a 13-shot magazine. You're looking at very little difference. So an H&K magazine, which are engineered with generous tolerances, basically is very similar in height to a 15-shot CZ P10 magazine. My theory is CZ kind of want to bridge too far there, and they're basically forcing you to jam 15 shots into essentially a 13 or 14-shot magazine. Is it a big deal? The gun's working perfectly. Glock has gotten away with this for years. There's a reason why they include that mag loader in there, and it's not just generosity. It's because it's a thumb buster, especially when they're new. This magazine's a thumb buster also. A Beretta mag, an H&K mag, these mags can be loaded by an old lady. I mean, there's no problem with these, and both of them will seat in the guns easily, as opposed to the sort of extra push you have to give. It's a lot like the Smith & Wesson Shield when you get 8 shots in it. Just takes a little more tension. That's my pet theory. I know I bored you with it twice, but I think that's what's going on. That being said, so what? The gun works fine. It's an easy gun to shoot accurately. The only thing I've found wrong with it so far is when you're doing mag changes, you just got to be conscious of the stiffness and make sure you get in there. I'll never say never, but I have no intention of making any modifications to the gun. I'm essentially going to train around the gun, and I don't think there's going to be any problems with it. I think that's it for today. I don't want to bore you anymore. So far, so good, but those are my notes on the P10. So far, so good. I'll shoot another 500 through it next week. Thank you very much. Y'all take care.